Hi, my name is Bill Missett, and I'm the senior editor here at Laser Pacific Media Corporation. Typically, we're a finishing house. We handle about 30 to 35 episodic series a season, and we have anywhere from 8 to 10 features that roll through this place every month, every 3 weeks roughly. Essentially what we do here is we provide a venue for different companies to finish their products. They have an assemblage of different materials that come in here, and we are the finishing point for those materials. So that when a feature leaves here or a television series leaves here, it's ready for broadcast or ready for presentation. We work on series such as Charmed, Angel, Life with Bonnie. We typically, we were at one point doing all of CBS's lineup. Just about their entire primetime lineup came through here. We do preview screenings for feature films for companies ranging from Miramax to MGM to New Line Entertainment. We basically provide them with a place to assemble the master and put together the movie before it actually is released so they can test screen it. That's become a new major portion of our company. And we do, on an average, between 10 and 15 screenings every 2 weeks. I never attended any formal school. I was a carpenter at one point, working a job site, and met a guy on the job site who was a plumber, whose brother got him some sideline work working as a B-roll camera operator at football games. I started working with those guys, and one of my family members took note. My family actually started the company called Jazzercise, which is a dance fitness organization, and they were starting up a video division, and I got hired to come in and start working for them. I worked through every phase of production, from grip all the way up to TD, and then they sent me away to school so I could get a little bit of background in electronics, because we were paying so much at that point for engineers to come in and fix the facility. I came back and re-engineered the facility twice, and essentially went from there. I had a relationship with someone up here who, at one point we were going to get married. She asked me to move up here. She sent out my resume that I didn't know I had, and a cover letter I didn't write, and I got job interviews. And worked at another company up here for several years, doing children's television programming, everything from children's television programming to music videos. And then someone who worked here, it's all about who you know. Someone who worked here was a next door neighbor to the person I worked with closely at my other facility, and they were looking for people to come over here because they needed to replace an editor, and I ended up interviewing here about 10 years ago or so, and been here ever since. It's a good place to work. From an editorial standpoint, editing is typically only 30 to 40% of technical knowledge. Another 40% of it is client relations and interfacing with a human being and actually making them feel comfortable with what they're doing. Essentially, what's brought before you are a plethora of situations and problems that you have to address or fix. And making the client feel comfortable throughout that process is a big part of the job. Being able to talk to and relate to people is essential to this position, because not only are you working with equipment, you're working with a human being. And the human aspect of it is critical. If you don't have people skills, probably not a job for you. Because you sit right next to somebody all day long, and you talk to them, and you're dealing with personalities, and so people may or may not have. Nobody has the same personality, but you may or may not get along. We have a number of people in the editorial staff here, and certain clients request certain editors because they've developed a rapport or bond with them. Any editor can do, any of this facility can do the same job. It just depends on who they're working with and what that person is expecting from their editor. You'll end up with clients that they've got a director, they've got a series of directors on a show, and each director will do something a little differently. So you'll end up with different camera people on different shows. So you'll end up with mismatched action. You'll end up with booms in the shot, crew members in the shot, bad audio, time code based problems, tape based problems, camera related problems, and a lot of the times the client will look to you to fix it. And here at Laser Pacific we're a team, so we all sort of work together in that sense to make things happen. If I've got a problem I can't fix, I can call individuals from other areas of the company who are, say, in color timing or in visual effects and see what everybody says about what they think the best way to fix the problem is. I can give it a direction and find out which way I think, I think this is, you're better served by fixing this in timing, or you're better served by fixing this here. But once again, that's looking at the client situation and judging their problem and trying to find a way to fix it. We have a number of technical avenues. Since the start of high definition, the number of ways in which you can hurt yourself have increased dramatically. So we see a great number of situational-based technical issues that we have to solve. Let's say one, for instance, was we got a product in here that was originally going to be online over in London, so they did it in the PAL format, which is in London's format, and they needed to finish it here, but we were in NTSC, so we had to take their master and take their masters and create an NTSC master from that, and then their audio was at a different frame rate, so we had to resolve that. So it's all about fixing. It's kind of neat because it's kind of like a puzzle that you're putting together, and depending on who is bringing the puzzle to you, it can be quite a number of pieces and quite a number of mismatched pieces, or you can have something that's going to work very well. We try to familiarize people with the process that we do here, so that we can create a smooth track for them. In fact, we'll send engineers out to their set to look at what they're doing and perhaps make some suggestions for ways they can improve the product before it gets to us. We try to solve problems from both ends. Most of the time we've been successful solving people's problems. In fact, we've got quite a reputation for that in this industry. If we can't fix it, we'll try to figure out what the client did wrong in the first place and then try to keep them from doing it again. There are two types of editing typically. There's nonlinear editing, which is done in a hard drive based system, and there's linear editing, which is where I'm sitting right now. Non-linear editing is actually becoming a major player in the industry. As the systems become less expensive, it's easier for people to get HD material into a nonlinear system. They can finish their product there. These bays are typically not being used as much as they used to. At this facility, we have a path that takes things through this facility in this bay. This is a linear bay. This is typically used in this environment for putting titles on tapes, for doing some kind of optical work, for introducing fixes in a linear fashion to a master. That means a master that's already been basically built and we just want to go in and make a few changes. If you're talking about restructuring a program or reinventing the wheel, then you want to go into a nonlinear system, which is a hard drive based system, and do the work there. I've got some effects boxes in here, I've got a color corrector, I've got control of any number of machines, and a switcher which can generate all sorts of wipes. I can paint out dirt, I can fix little flaws like, say, a boom in the shot in here. Sometimes those shots are needed to be relegated to a nonlinear environment because they're more difficult or they're tracking. Basically those types of shots and that's where I'll make that determination. I'll look at it and say if I can fix it, and if I can't fix it, then I know somebody who can. Each editorial team consists of an editor and a tape op or assistant in the back who keeps an eye on the signal, keeps an eye on what's being done at the machine, makes sure that the proper tapes are in the machines, and will call out any problems as he sees them. He looks for channel conditions. I can determine a lot of things in here, and then the things I can't see, that's what the other person out there is for. We typically hire from within this company. A lot of companies have this practice, but basically this company's been really good about it. Hawk actually started in the vault. at one point. A number of people that are working now in telecine and are telecine operators full time at this facility started in the vault. That's an entry-level position, and basically we have anywhere from 3 to 4 interns that come in here every year and work through the season to get a good feel for what the environment is like. And we've actually ended up hiring quite a few of them to work here in the past. There's editorial, there's color timing, there's the dubbing staff, there's telecine, there's just a number of divisions in this company. It starts back at sales, and then from sales it goes to an account rep up front, and basically that is your point person if you're a client, and that person actually will help you work together with the teams here at Laser Pacific to get your product the way you want it. Get your product built and on the air or out to a retail outlet store somewhere. That person will basically schedule you with the different services that we provide here. We've got people in Chiron if you need any kind of graphics work or type. People in an effects room, basically with flame to do any kind of challenging opticals that we can't do in the edit bay in here. You've got a team at night. We basically have an assembly team that assembles the shows at night via a supercomputer with proprietary software. We've got telecine operators if you've got film elements that need to be transferred. There's tape-to-tape color correction. So basically several of the jobs at this facility, if you do them properly, you can't tell we've been in there and done our job. So you don't know. Those staff positions are actually transparent in a manner of speaking. If I were to offer any advice to anybody who wanted to get into this industry, it would be to get a really good understanding of the signal path and how the flow of operations go in a company like this from start to finish. You could follow how a production gets made and how a show gets on the air. Once you learn that, then you can pick an area that appeals to you and focus in on that and perhaps learn all the surrounding skills that are required to pursue that particular aspect of a career. I worked for free. I sat down at an editing console for 7 months, 4 hours a night on my own time, and played with the gear. I got permission to do it, and I sat down with tapes and with manuals and played with it until I understood how it worked. And then I sought out people that were much better than I was at what they did and peppered them with questions until they were sick of me pretty much. But I learned from some people that really knew what they were doing. I found people who were skilled at what they did and asked them a lot of questions. You can go to all the tech schools in the world and that, I mean, having an engineering degree will help you, and it will help you if you're pursuing, specifically if you're pursuing a technical job. But it's a lot about who you know and pursuing a dream and pursuing what you want. I flat out sat down and I went to my employer. I was an engineer at that point. I went to my employer and told him that if he didn't put me with clients, I was going to quit and go find a job as an editor somewhere. And he didn't want to lose me, so he hired me as an editor, and that's how the whole thing got started. When I got up here to LA, this was down in San Diego. When I got up here up to LA, I had to do the same process all over again. I started at the lowest entry-level position I could get into, which at that point was they had a staff gig available for an engineer / sometimes nighttime editor, and so I took the job. I worked nights, I worked weekends. I basically just pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and then after several years of that, I finally got to a point where I didn't have to push anymore. So pursuing, being diligent and pursuing your dream are probably the two most important things I can recommend to anybody who wants to really get into this industry, because everybody wants into this industry and nobody really wants to work for it. You have to be prepared to work insane hours for tyrants, and people who may not appreciate what you're doing for them, in order to get enough skill and get enough enough of a basis on which to build a knowledge of what you're doing so that you can present yourself with confidence as a person who knows what they're doing. I meet people that come into this facility that want a job here who are willing to come in on their own time for free to sit down and learn the gear and play with it until they feel confident that they can get put with a client. And you know, based on what I've seen on their resume and what I know about them, some of them are just not telling the truth at all, and we'll still give them a shot because they're really interested in doing it, and if they can prove themselves, then they'll end up with a job. Because I was at that place at one point, so I can recognize that, and I can appreciate it. But if I had a group of people that I had taught and I was trying to get them jobs and trying to show them how to pursue a career in this industry, I would tell them it's all about personal connection, and that finding people who are good at what they do and learning from those people and gaining the confidence from those people to be able to present themselves as someone who knows what they're doing is probably one of the best courses they can take. That in school. You know, get some knowledge basis about what it is you're doing.